what did Tennessee's House Speaker and his fellow Republicans know, and when did they know it? That is the central question in a sexual harassment scandal involving a prominent GOP lawmaker in the state. And now, 3 Democrats who recently faced expulsion votes of their own want an investigation. Phil Williams of Scripps News Nashville has the details tonight.
Representative Scotty Campbell's downfall came as quickly as anyone up here on Capitol Hill has ever seen. Even though he's gone, the questions remain.
That we have a very toxic culture up here, one that in which rules are not consistently applied, and in fact, sometimes things are covered up.
For the so-called Tennessee 3, the entire situation reeks of hypocrisy. Republican Scotty Campbell resigned Thursday just hours after we confronted him with evidence that he'd been found guilty in a secret hearing of sexually harassing college interns. His seat on the House floor now sits empty.
At first, the representatives said they weren't going to resign. Then we came back from lunch, they had resigned, and everyone here acted like nothing had happened. We just were supposed to act like everything was normal.
But our News Channel 5 investigation discovered that more than a week before the 3 Democratic lawmakers faced an expulsion vote for their gun violence protests on the House floor, House Speaker Cameron Sexton had been given this memorandum confirming that based on a staff investigation, an ethics subcommittee had found that Campbell violated the legislature's sexual harassment policy.
He knew about it before they moved, and he pushed to expel us for talking out of turn. Meanwhile, they're covering up a sexual harassment situation with one for certain and possibly multiple interns.
This resignation did not come because they felt like what they did was wrong. It came out because because you brought it up in the news. They know about this since March 29th.
And it is despicable that it wasn't until this was made public that the Speaker and the Republican leadership decided to do something.
We never have any clue about it.
So you had no idea?
No. We found out when you put it out yesterday, we found out what took place.
House Republican Caucus Chair Jeremy Faison insisted he was also in the dark about what his own vice chair was accused of doing.
At no point during that time am I aware of the information about the details. The first time I learned about that was when you actually reported it.
As did the House Speaker.
That process does not provide any details on any matter to the speakers. And so anything that happened, I am not privy to.
Could you ask for it?
I'm not, no, because it's protected information.
Sexton blamed a process that was put in place after Republican Jeremy Durham was expelled in 2016 as part of a sexual harassment scandal. It created an ethics subcommittee composed of 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats to handle such complaints. Sexton says all he got was that vaguely worded letter. It sounds like this process is broken.
Well, I think it's something that we need to take a look at. But at the same time, what you're trying to do is also protect the victim.
As News Channel 5 first reported, the legislature also paid thousands of dollars to get one victim out of her lease at Capitol Towers, where she and Campbell each had apartments, paid to move her furniture back home, and to put her up in a downtown hotel for the rest of her internship. Legislative staff members are saying those payments are also secret.
And that information, my understanding through Ethics Council, is protected information that even I cannot get or...
But we're talking about taxpayer money.
I understand, but I'm just saying is the way that that was set up, that is considered protected information.
That if there's somebody behaving in such a way that's put somebody else in harm or fear, we've got to deal with that immediately.
I mean, it's horrific to think the abuse of the power up here.
As for the Tennessee 3, they say this scandal should not be forgotten.
The reality is we need a full internal investigation that is public as to how taxpayer dollars were used to cover up the actions of the former representative.
Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams himself joins us now from Nashville. I'm glad you're with us. You broke this story wide open, Phil. This top Republican in the House accused of sexually harassing an intern, maybe several interns, and it's your reporting that led to the resignation. I mean, you just told us how this process works, I guess, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. It's a secret. Theoretically, this worked as intended?
This is the way the system is set up. The process is that a complaint of sexual harassment against a member of the House goes before this ethics subcommittee. That subcommittee deliberates in secret, And really all they do is issue a very vaguely worded letter that says the member has been found guilty of sexual harassment or discrimination. And that's the way the process has been set up. Supposedly it was designed to protect the victim, but I think what we're seeing in this case, that it also has the effect, intended or not, of protecting the perpetrator.
And thousands of dollars. It's taxpayer money. I mean, these are dollars and cents that people sent in from their paychecks, and then it was then funneled to go pay for some of this stuff for this girl to like move out of the apartment. And I mean, she does still have to walk the halls and see the person who she is maybe uncomfortable with all the time. How do they envision that's the correct way to do it? Is it's secret money being used from taxpayers? Why is that not under like a sunlight law?
And that's the very question that we're asking. Through my sources, I can tell you we know it's thousands and thousands of dollars. Money was spent to get her out of her lease because she had an apartment in the same building as the perpetrator. Her furniture was moved back to her home at taxpayer expense. And then she was put up in a downtown hotel in Nashville, and downtown hotels in Nashville are not cheap these days. And so she was put up for an extended period in this downtown hotel. All of this paid for by taxpayers. But when we asked for the receipts, when we asked for the details, when we asked for the exact amount, we were told that's confidential. But you can bet we're still working on that story.
I believe you are, and I'm sure they believe that you are right now. I guess if I'm understanding it right, then he was found ethically guilty, not criminally guilty of something, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And the consequence was...
Go.
And the consequence was a vaguely worded letter in his file.
I see, in your personnel file.
Right.
GOP leadership, House Speaker, the chair of the caucus saying, well, we didn't really know, we just got some vague letter. I know you talked about in your piece, this is meant to maybe protect the victim. In some ways it shrouds the perpetrator, but does it also protect leadership that they can always say in the future, we didn't know, like we aren't allowed to know, and then their hides are always covered as well?
That's exactly the effect, because in this case, the speaker, who is very hands-on, says that he was not told the details of what this member was accused of and found guilty of by the ethics subcommittee. Every other member of leadership said they had no idea about the details until we broke our story. And in fact, the member resigned about 2 hours after our story appeared online, about 6 hours after we confronted him. And so again, they say, that they were in dark about the details. I think the question that our investigation has raised is that if you have a member of the State House of Representatives who's accused of such vulgar behavior toward a legislative intern, a college intern, shouldn't somebody with some power know the details? And I think that's going to be a conversation that the legislature is going to have in the coming weeks.
It seems like the intention was not to ever bring this to light or to the public. Is the committee being reconfigured in any way, or are they just, they're on this path, they're sticking with it?
The speaker said that they will look at it. He didn't specify how. I asked for any other members who may have received similar letters. They told me that they could not process such a request, that I would have to ask by name. So the process definitely appears to be designed to, at least in part, protect the members of the legislature.
I see. If I remember from the expulsion votes, it's either 99 or 100 members. So I guess you're submitting 99 or 98 of those right now to figure out what else is out there. So I do know you also, by the way, wanted to mention here, the Tennessee Three, as they're called now, two of whom were actually expelled for breaking decorum, and now they're back. They were headed to the White House today. You've been in constant touch with them, and they want these Republicans, or at least the process, investigated. What exactly do they want?
They want a detailed explanation of how taxpayer money was spent. Again, the Speaker of the House is saying that that information is secret. So they're wanting a detailed explanation of how the money was spent and was it spent not only to protect the victim, but to protect the perpetrator. One of the questions is, if this member was guilty of sexual harassment, why is he paying instead of taxpayers?
Yeah, I guess I covered Congress for a long time, and it's just hard to envision the Ethics Committee approving payments here in D.C. to people who have, raised allegations or were found guilty of things like harassment, and the public never finding out about it. But at the state level, I know they make their own rules and own committees, and they're answering to you, Phil Williams, Chief Investigative Reporter in Nashville. I'll see you soon. Thank you.